Hello, Bill Romano talking about Fire Near Miss from nationalnearmiss.org. In this case, it was the fire company returning from a run. The driver decided to make a left-hand turn, or decided to swing into a parking lot to turn around faster to go back to the station after a run. Made a left-hand turn, and the company officer's door opened up. The company officer, the person making the report, stated he started to slide off his seat and out of his rig, and it was his seatbelt that stopped him. As he said, there's a low rate of speed, but there's still certainly a possibility of serious injury or death in this sort of case. And as he said, the seatbelt saved his life. He blamed it that he feels that the officers used very tight and as possible, didn't get the door shut correctly, which is something we all probably should do. Um, Simple, interesting. Then he goes on to talk about that they did a training film at the station as soon as they got back that was relevant to this, that it was about someone who did not have their seatbelt on, door open on them, and wound up rolling out and being killed, being injured, and then dying of their injuries. He said that really struck it home. It basically sounded like he said it really struck it home from him that just happened to him, and it was only through ensuring that he wore his seatbelt correctly that he was not injured or killed. This is relevant to Akron. We have had instances of this sort of thing happen in the past. Years ago, we had a gentleman who did retire as a lieutenant, who, when responding, his door came open as they were making the initial turn, still on the apron. Luckily, he was missed by the rear tires of the rig, but he was injured seriously to the point that I know he had got a bit of a partial disability when he went off the job finally. But it was 15 years after the incident. We're talking the incident was probably, as I think about it, pushing on 30 years ago now. This also was right as they finally were um, moving from open cabs to enclosed cabs here in Akron. Yes, I rode on open cabs when I first got hired for a few years. Yeah. Uh, and then also, it has almost happened to me personally. I've been in a rig where we had somewhat of a bad design, just the positioning of everything was a perfect storm. The buckle from the SCBA would and could, could and would and did get caught in the door, in the on the hinge side of the door even. So all it did was just have a little bit of extra space that the door did not shut correctly and did not necessarily latch correctly. I know this because we had several buckles get smashed and have to be replaced from being shut in the door. And then it happened to me personally where this happened and the door opened when the driver made a sharp left turn. This was on an on ramp to the expressway. I was had my hand leaning on the door, kind of looking out of the window, and so I had some of my weight on the door as we went around the ramp, and yes, the door started to open on me. I was wearing my seatbelt. Thankfully, there is absolutely no way, no chance, no how I would have stopped myself if I hadn't been wearing my seatbelt. It turns out that yes, the buckle was shut in the door. I didn't notice it. So from then, I've always informed people when I'm, being a mentor or whatever and talking to rookies, and be aware of where all your stuff is. Um, I always make sure those straps are where I know exactly where those straps are. I'm sitting on them. They are not going to be in the door, and that way I just grab them and I put them on and I buckle that belt first off and we're getting on to respond. So I have positive control, positive accountability of those. So that's the thing is you do have to check, make sure all of your safety equipment is working. Your seatbelt safety equipment, the door safety equipment, everything is. That rig is built to try and protect you, protect all of us. So you have to be cognizant and aware of your situation, know what's going on, know everything works. It's the same thing. You check out your SCBA to make sure you know that it works in the morning. Check out and make sure that your door is going to work. Make sure your seatbelt works and make sure you wear your seatbelt. Other than that, thank you. Hope everyone's having a good week.